Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to Nusantara Wakaf Ilmu. In this occasion, we are going to talk about organizational transformation and futures, reflections for Nusantara, Southeast Asia, and the world beyond. Uh, Today, we are inviting Dr. Muhammad Rifani Bustami from Center for Policy Research and International Studies. He is the head of Nusantara Malay Archipelago Research in Center for Policy Research and International Studies. We can say, we can call it Chanpris in University Science Malaysia. Yeah. For Dr. Muhammad Rifani Bustami, time is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Raji. I'm happy to be here in this occasion because this is where we contribute our knowledge as a platform for us to contribute knowledge to Nusantara, to the Malay archipelago, to Southeast Asia, and the world beyond Southeast Asia. Wakaf means to give and to contribute to the public. So whatever that we wakaf, whatever that we give away as endowment, right, will be not owned privately but owned by the public. So with this niyat, with this intention, we wakaf our knowledge, we wakaf what we know, and so that hopefully uh, whatever we wakaf, whatever we contribute, will bring benefit to mankind, will bring benefit to society and the world. Um, Today, um, the the title that I'll be addressing is Organizational Transformation and Futures, Reflections for Nusantara, Southeast Asia, and the world beyond. Um, the slides are prepared in both Bahasa and English. When I say Bahasa, I mean Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Malaysia, Bahasa Brunei, bahasa of the lingua franca of the Nusantara Malay archipelago. Um, let me start with the first slide. Uh, I would like to contextualize our discussion, our deliberation on the topic today on organizational transformation and futures on few contexts. Yeah. First, the Nusantara context. What is Nusantara? Nusantara is a term that has existed for centuries long before the idea of Southeast Asia existed and before nation states were established under the Westphalian paradigm of nation states, right? So under Nusantara, we have empires, we have a shared destiny, we have shared territory, we have shared lands and waters. Uh, Nusantara basically means um, between lands, between islands. So it's a Mediterranean concept of shared history, shared resources, shared heritage that has existed pre-colonial era, during the pre-colonial era, and somehow after colonization of many, if not most, of the people in Nusantara uh, um, forget or tend to minimize the identity that we share together, right? And Nusantara expands uh, uh, the territory of Nusantara more or less expand from Sumatra, Borneo, Kalimantan, up to Brunei, Philippines, Java, the islands of Java, Sulawesi, up north to the Peninsula Malaysia. Of course, there wasn't in Malaysia yet, and parts of Thailand, and even to Cambodia. So it's a huge um, space of land, of territory, of culture, of heritage, of history, right? So it is a Nusantara, it's a context. It's an important context. It is a what I like to say a decolonized context of space, of self, of spirituality, of history. So that is the first context, right? And then within that context, of course, there's Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Singapore, Thailand, and all that. And why do I state that as a first context of discussion is that when we talk about Nusantara, we are talking about a model that is our own, an indigenous mold of progress, indigenous mold of life and leadership, way of developing ourselves that is our own. Yeah, so that is how I would want to contextualize the discussion. So the first is the Nusantara context. Raja, can we go to the next slide? Yeah, the next slide is Islam. So when we talk about Southeast Asia, we talk about Nusantara. We cannot separate the idea of Islam from Nusantara. Muslims in Nusantara is is a population that is large. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population in the world, right? About 90% or so. And we have other countries, Brunei, Malaysia, and other parts of Southeast Asia that are heavily populated by Muslims. And in the context of Islam, in the context of Islam in Nusantara, we see a society that's multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious. Yeah, and oftentimes, many scholars would say, given the challenging times of today's world and with all the conflicts, all the crises, all the challenges that the world is facing, the Muslims, a large percentage of Muslims, especially in this part of the world, Southeast Asia, see that this is the kubu terakhir, the final frontier, the final fort of peace and prosperity and progressiveness for the Muslims. And there is sense of togetherness, of brotherliness, of solidarity, of Nusantara that aspire for peace and prosperity and progressiveness, and it is felt often by a large percentage of Muslims that the context of Islam in Nusantara is the context of survival in order to maintain that peace, prosperity, and progressiveness. So that's two important social, cultural, political, economic context that I would like to couch, frame this whole discussion in. Next slide, please. So the discussion, the deliberation today is on futures in organizational transformation. I will probably um, discuss more on organization from universities, from the academic, educational perspective, right? Um, but let's talk about the futures. If we chart the history of um, mankind from the industrialization point of view. And this has been talked about very frequently, very extensively, especially in the developing world, right? And in developing economies, where there's this aspiration, this agenda or vision of becoming industrialized or becoming developed, right? And so the government, the people, the intellectuals talk about this industrial revolution 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Right? Let me run through very quickly. It has been deliberated, discussed many times. So we see the industrial revolution 1.0. We see the agrarian society, the rural society is transformed with mechanization, with the advent or the invention of steam engine. We see industrial work has become much more mechanized, yeah? And we see the mechanization of industry. So production become much more machine oriented with the steam engine uh, coming into production and production processes. So this is the first industrial revolution, and we see that happening in Europe, of course. Next slide, please. So then, after the first industrial revolution, come the second industrial revolution, which is about between 1870 to 1914. After World War One, we see electricity coming into the production processes, and together with that, we see uh, energy becomes an important aspect of production processes. The internal combustion engine the advent of electricity and the oil become important because oil would help generate electricity and so on and so forth. So Industrial Revolution 2.0 uh, is very much moved and transformed by electricity. Yeah? So we see that if you look at the future's episteme, the landscape changed from agrarian society to industrial society. We see urbanization occurring in many different countries. Cities start to bloom, start to become the center of production, the center of work, a center of employment. Next, please. Thank you, Raji. Industrial Revolution 3.0, also known as a digital revolution. We see the analog shifting towards digital, right? Probably in the 1980s, definitely in 1990s. We see ICT in information communication technology, or some talk about CMICT, communication aided by information and communication technology, right? So the digitization becomes more dominant a force in the production of goods and services, and you see services and goods are being revolve around digitization, and more industries who own the digital space own the economy, have control over the economy. Right? We talk about the rise of tech companies and all that. That is the beginning of Industrial Revolution 3.0. So, and these are all, by the way, have been discussed and deliberated and has been disseminated by a lot of other scholars. Industrial Revolution 4.0, the next one. So this is the talk of the town right now, at least before COVID came. Industrial Revolution 4.0, and this is the book, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and the man behind the book is Dr. Klaus Schwab. He's a German engineer, economist, the founder of executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, the famous or infamous, depending how you look at it, the World Economic Forum, when those who are anti-capitalist would see as the forum has been something that is very pro-capitalism and um, not egalitarian enough, right? But the Industrial Revolution 4.0 was popularized by um, Carl Schwab in his through his forum on World Economic Forum. Can you go to the next slide? So the fourth industrial revolution is a revolution that brings together the digital, the physical, the electrical into the biological world, into the living world, right? So technology is increasingly coming into the society, into even the human body. So technology that emerges, including the technology of robotics, of artificial intelligence, of nanotechnology, as small as a tip of the finger, smaller than the nail, right? Biotechnology, the combination of technology with biology, autonomous vehicles, right? Flying cars and all that. The essence is that we are moving into a cyber physical reality. Yeah? So the technology that was once outside of humans and human lives are going into human lives. Some people are concerned that it will take away lives from people. Once we needed people to drive cars, now we have autonomous vehicles. So and a lot of things can be automated now. And with artificial intelligence, we were transferring more and more thinking processes to technology, right? And so technology is coming into our our decision making processes and our selection processes. Sometimes making decisions for us, and you type in search engine, DuckDuckGo or any other search engine. Sometimes they will automatically suggest uh, the words that you might be interested in, and if you continue to let them track you, they will be able to predict based on your past behaviors, based on other variables that are associated to you, to your lifestyle, to where you are, to your background. Might even know more about you than you know you know about yourself, right? So this Industrial Revolution 4.0 is a powerful revolution, and people talk about gearing up the economy, transforming organizations, right, into um, uh, 4IR ready organization, right? Um, but today we are not focusing on 4IR. We're focusing on something beyond 4IR. Can we go to the next slide, please? First, to capture the 4.0 industrial revolution for 4IR first. So the essence is, if you look at the first industrial revolution, right, steam engine came in. We see mechanical production um, taking over the people-driven, people-powered production processes, and then we see the second revolution, division of labor, electricity, mass production of cars, mass production of just about anything, right? So we have General Electric, General Motor, General this and General that, right? And then the third industrial revolution, electronics, IT, automated production. The fourth industrial revolution, big question mark still supposedly, the cyber physical systems. So more and more we are um, um, geared towards becoming connected to the digital world. In fact, the digital world can connect with each other, the Internet of Things, right? So one can connect to another without us controlling it. So one can control the other. So this is a cyber system, a controlling mechanism of life, of production processes, of thinking processes, right? So the idea of division labor, right? Last time is about changing meaningful work to alienated work, labor, right? Now the labor and the division of work is been taken over. The thinking processes is slowly taken over by the artificial intelligence. That is the fear. That is the concern, supposedly. Yeah, but that is not the focus of our discussion today. That's just to lay the background to what we want to talk about. Um, what I want to talk about is, can we go to the next slide, please? To ask the question, is there another revolution after 4AR, after fourth industrial revolution? When will it come if there's such a revolution? Now, my contention, my argument is that the next revolution, which is 5IR, is here and is now. Is here and now. There are two waves, there's two concurrent revolutions occurring at the same time. Which is more overt, much more explicit. The other one is more covert, much more implicit, embedded. Yeah, bahasa will be the tusurat. It is can be seen. Tersirat is cannot be seen or hard to be seen. Right. So the fourth industrial revolution and the fifth industrial revolution are happening at the same time, coming at the same time. Maybe one is slightly faster than the other, but they're coming now, and they're here. They are now right together with us right now. Right? What am I talking about here? The fifth industrial revolution. Can you go to the next slide right there? Now, the industrial revolution 5.0 is the industrial revolution where we see the convergence of physical, electrical, digital, biological, and the spiritual. Keyword spiritual. So it is convergence of 4 plus 1, and this one is the spiritual part that will really transform uh, uh, subliminally, subversively, but definitely substantively our life almost completely, right? and this is where, and we must be careful about the fifth industrial revolution. Why? I will explain. Now, industrial revolution 5.0, I argue, uh, 5IR begins with the battlefield of good and evil. Uh, this is where the battle of good and evil will be very critical, right? And we will see a fight, a big fight between good and evil, and we must choose the right side, right? Let's go to the next one. Now, Industrial Revolution 5.0. Let's look at the emerging realities. And I think a lot of us are realizing that this is happening. We probably accept these realities, perhaps taken for granted, of their existence, right? What are among the emerging realities? Number one, ubiquitous computing or ubiquitous computing capabilities. So, what does it mean? It means um, computing capability is ubiquitous, is commonplace, can be is very it can be found just about anywhere, in big cities at least, yeah. So people have phones, and that phone is no longer the simple, it's no longer this type of phone, right? Can we see this phone there? Yeah, it's no longer this type of phone. This is, by the way, a real phone, and I'm using this phone together with a rubber band so that it's stronger, right? It's no longer this type of phone. We are talking something much more sophisticated, a smartphone, and this is actually a computer that you're holding, right? That we have the smartphone, and a lot of people, at least in the urban areas, right, and the middle income, even the lower income, that is like the thing that is almost a must have. Right? So you see the ubiquity, the almost the it's almost everywhere, right? So that is an emerging reality, and then we see a second reality, which is a post-truth media or the multiple truths media, right? It's hard sometimes, or in fact many times, some will argue all the time, to differentiate between hoaxes and half truths, right? And and now we talk about, checking before sharing, right? Because we do not know whether what we are receiving is true or not, is factual or not, and to what extent is factual, and how long is it factual, when is this relevant, when is this produced, when is this captured, right? Is the photo is being doctored, right? Who is saying what? And there's this streamlining of truth, that I believe on my own truth. I do not believe in your truth, right? Um, and if you can see at the picture shown in the slide there, right? If you look at the light coming behind that cylinder, right? Truth, the light of truth coming there. Uh, that is the truth. The truth is in the middle. If you, sorry, there's two lights coming. The yellow light, if you look at the yellow light, the cylinder will look like a circle. But if you look at the blue light, the cylinder will look like a square, and both are true. Uh, and the problem is, one side doesn't believe the other side, uh, and and uh, and the truth is often not complete. And the worst part is the truth becomes um, uh, a divisive factor, a divisive boundary that split organization, people, communities, right? So for us in the academia, for us who are interested in knowledge, in the transformative processes of society, how do we convey a message? How do we convey the truth, right? And we come in the third reality, the blurring and breaking, the barricading boundaries and walls, right? So the walls of truth are blurring. So what is infotainment, what is information, what is fact, what is fiction, are blurring. And you see number fourth, right? emerging reality, the collapse or the partial collapse and the distrust of existing systems and institutions. More and more people becoming more um, um, critical, right, of the status quo of the established institution. Is this staged? If it's staged, is this backstage, front stage? Is the backstage the real stage or the front stage is the real stage? Or are they showing us the backstage so that we all think the front stage is false, that the backstage is true, right? Whenever there's conflict between two nations, we say, these are all it's just a show, right? But the real thing is their two countries are friends, are friendly, right? So how do we interpret realities, right? So as Nusantara scholars, as Southeast Asian scholars, as scholars, right, and people who are in educational institutions, right, people who are in organizations, right. So how do we face these challenges, right? How, right? Let's move on to the next one, the next slide. Um, Industrial Revolution 5.0. Uh, we are talking about transformation, and the key agent of transformation in any society, right, is the educational institution, is the organizations that are given the trust to transform society, to transform nation, to transform people. Is another the academic, the educational institution, universities, the schools, the academia, the institute, the centers, right? So our task right now is to understand the truth, and number two is to regain the power. Uh, why? Because power, as stated in the slide there, power is with those who own spiritual wear and goodness certification, and those who control definition and institutions of ethics, of standards, of ratings, of rankings, and indexes of spirituality, control the world. The power is with these people right now. They, the, the people who define what good and bad is, they control the world right now. Can we go to the next slide? Let me go delve deeper into this idea, right? And these are all certifications, right? These are all standards. These are all indexes, right? And they're all around us. They're all over the world right now. And I state that those who control standards of right and wrong, of good and bad, control the world. If you look at economy there, the left-hand corner, the standards and poor, the Finch, the Moody's give ratings to the countries. The double A plus, A minus, triple B. This country get downgraded, right? Receiving a lower rating. Then what happens? There will be divestment. People will be pulling up money from the economy. People become much more anxious. Governments might be more unstable, right? There might be a no confidence vote of the government just because of these ratings. And oppositions and politicians will use these ratings as basis of standards of good and bad. And who are who are they? They are the people who control the standards of right and wrong, of good and bad. They control the ratings. They control the rankings, right? The ranking there. If you look closer to the, can we enlarge a little bit? If you look at the middle there, the top 25 universities, right? The ranking of the universities, right? Whenever there's publication of ranking of universities, right? Universities, vice chancellors and rectors and CEOs or people who run the universities will be happy or unhappy, right? And they will try to look at, wow, have we jumped five ranking above, going up 10 ranking, 15 ranking. Well, we are on number 127. We have gone up from 227 to 100, 100. For that, that we are, and we are happy to be top 100 universities in the world, right? We are proud, right? And why? Because they tell us we are good, right? Uh, and that happens in a lot of other things, right? The ISO, the International Standard Organization, the certification of almost all work processes, right? They will tell the organization whether the organization is safe or not. The organization, we have ISO 26000, which is ISO for social responsibility, will tell you whether the organization is socially responsible or not. And if you look at all this, and you go, thank you for enlarging that, all those little labels there, those are labels to tell you whether you're good or bad, whether your organizations are behaving in ethical or unethical way. Who's controlling all these labels and certifications? Right? And they will control you. Uh, and because you submit yourself to this ranking, you give up the idea of good and evil um, to these institutions, to this fifth industrial revolution institution, right? They control who's good, who's bad. They just need to label you as bad, and you will be very anxious, and other people will trust them. Right? Terrorist watch. Suddenly, some cities, some countries will be labeled as terrorists, as in the terrorist watch list, and then the foreign ministry will go haywire. Right? Transparency International, right? It's based on perception. Right? Some countries deal with corruption practices outside of their country. They're very smart, right? Especially the arm dealers, countries with arm with the uh, with weapon production capabilities and industries, right? They do not deal uh, uh, with corruption in their own country. So the perception of their own country is positive. They do it outside of their country, right? Their corruption perception. So we have all these new institutions of fifth industrial revolution, right? That is revolutionizing the world, right? That is telling us, that's transforming us, that's transforming the organization, right? And telling us whether you're good and bad. Oh, by the way, on the right hand corner, there's those beautiful words, the six-letter word, Scopus. That is the new God that almost all academics believe, and all rectors and vice chancellors believe. Almost all. We have some good ones, some champions who are fighting for the academics, but almost all believe in Scopus, except for the established ones. Right? Who are the established ones? You got to go and look at the list. The Harvards, the Yales, the Cambridge. No, no, no. But the developing countries, we have this inferiority complex. Unless we are Scopus, we have published in Scopus uh, 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 or ISI or Q1 or Q2 journals, we are not good. Our books, they are no good unless they are accepted by this capitalistic, imperialistic, Western dominated ranking certification institutions, right? They control the right and wrong, the standards of right and wrong, the standards of good and bad. And they'll tell you all the professors that have existed before the ranking of scopers, and then you're safe, right? But those who want to strive to become better, the young scholars, if you do not follow the ranking, the ratings, the indexes regime, the hegemony of indexes, of scopus, of ISI, you are no one. This is the power of 5IR, the new institutions that define the world, that define the economy, that define organizations, that define the good and the bad. Because we submit to them. And there are very few institutions in the developing country that are safeguarding the developing country, the developing economies, the developing societies. We form the majority, but we let this new group of 1% control the 99% of us. There is no revolution against them yet. Okay, go to the next one, please. This is CSR, sustainability related labels and certification standards. Can you see that? One of my research areas is CSR and sustainability. You can look at them. I'm not saying that they are necessarily bad. I'm saying that who is controlling them? How come we are not participating in the controlling mechanism? How come we do not own the certification? Where are our governments? Where are our institutions? Where are our 5IR institutions? Where are our organizations that are transforming the world according to our mold, according to the Nusantara mold, according to the indigenous world? You might not be from Nusantara, you might be from the other parts of developing economy, developing world, but you are controlled by the certifications. And some of the certifications are good, but I'm saying that good that are defined by them. Listen to that voice inside of yourself. Are you being decolonized? Are you being colonized? Are you really independent? Or are you not independent? Are you uniting to fight for your own right, to claim what is good? Or you're letting the 5IR institutions take over you to tell you that your spirit is bad, that your intelligence is bad, that your talent is bad, your capability is bad. You are not professor material, you are not scholars material, because you have not done what we have told you to do. You have not followed, you have not met our certification process. Right. Can we go to the next one? Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Right. And if you look at this, right, a lot of this is individual rights. What happened to the collective rights? What happened to this side of the world? They talk about copyright. You want to talk about copyright? Now the the Arabic uh, Arabic numericals, right? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? If they make that a copyright, right? All the world will have to pay the Arabs billions and billions of money. But we did not have this spirit, this greed to control knowledge the way they want to control knowledge. Right? We got to be careful. We let them define what's good. We let them define what is right and wrong. We will be controlled by them. Next, please. Now, this is a mantra, a slogan of the famous, the biggest country in the world, right? It's called Facebook. Yeah, it has more followers, more citizens than India, than United States, than China, right? There are more billions of people who are members of Facebook. What's their mantra? What's their slogan? Move fast and break things, right? Move fast and break things, which means they go and break walls, break boundaries, right? The boundaries that are established by Gen X, Y, whatever else generations were there before that are being broken, right? But now there's a reassertion, there's transformation in organization. There is talking about ethics, talking about morality, talking about what's right and wrong, right? So we see this idea of breaking boundaries, of uh, not following ethical boundaries, at least, right, have been challenged, right? Can we go to the next slide now? Now, the fifth industrial revolution, if you look at, we will reflect back, right? If before the hardware was about mechanization, physical, material, electrical, the software is about digitization, coding, network, and plus what? Spiritual ware. the spiritual coding of values, moral, ethical code, new community standards, certifications, institutions, mission. Power is here. Power is in the spiritual technology. Power is in the ethical technology, because people will have capability. Remember that? Technological capability will become increasingly ubiquitous, increasingly commonplace. So who do you want to trust to give your money, to give your voice? Those people will control the world. So those people who control the ethical technology, the spiritual time, the spiritual way, will control the world. This is a time that religion will come back to lead science. As Einstein said, religion without science is lame, but science without religion is blind. So religion is coming back to lead science. Ethics, spirituality is coming back to lead science. The question is, whose spirituality, whose ethics are we looking at? Are we adopting? Next, please. So Industrial Revolution number 5.0 for Nusantara scholars and educational institutions to transform the organization from here to the future, right? Is we talk about regaining the understanding the game, we talk about regaining power. Number 3 is establish our own ethical compass, and number 4 is to empower our own ethical compass, our own standards. So the question you want to ask, what is the direction of your action? Do you have a compass to get there? Whose and what compass are you using? Are you using the compass, the certification, the standards, the indexes, the ranking, the ratings of those capitalist institutions, of those imperialistic institutions, or something that is more principle centered, that is more ethical centered? Islam talks about ethics, talks about morality, talks about spirituality. And here is where religions must come together again. The various religions must come together again. And in Nusantara, Islam must come and lead the way, right? And to ask, what is our compass? Do we have our own compass? Right? Can we go to the next slide, please? Just like what Scopus is doing to our journals and publications, to our institutions right now, we have total hegemony that leads to total sinking. Hegemony of knowledge institutions. Can we have our own Nusantara Scopus? Our own Nusantara ISI? Otherwise, what will happen to our journals? That our own people do not want to publish in our own journals because of this hegemony that is being established by this group of people. And some we call them predatory, right? Some are not, who knows, right? Uh, but we're sinking when we are jumping from our ship into their ship. Next. How about we, organizations of knowledge, of education, right, transform ourselves by having our own indexes? I submit, I suggest that we should have our own Nusantara Scholars Index, for instance, right? That is our own index. And if they want to come into our field, they follow our rules. They follow our ethics, right? We do not change our laws in order to accommodate them. Especially their laws are immoral. Their laws will destroy our forests. Their laws will destroy our labor relations. The laws will destroy our sustainable culture and heritage. We should not follow their laws. They should come and follow the Nusantara heritage of sustainability, of culture, of history, of shared resources, where we do not fight in the waters, right? We share our waters, right? And that is the Nusantara shared prosperity paradigm, right? These are all indigenous knowledge. And this is what we are talking about, the institutions of the 5IR, of the spiritual way, right? institutions that control ethics, that controls the good and evil. Next, please. So we look at some initiatives, and we look at Nepal. They have their own GNH, which is a contestation to gross national product, right? So they have happiness index, right? So we can talk about happiness, but then other country come in, and then the other institutions come in, and well, they come up with happiness uh, index, and they define how happiness should be. Then uh, we look at Bhutan, who has GNH. Sorry, it's not Nepal, it's Bhutan just now, right? Uh, uh, they aspire to have a higher standards of happiness, higher standards of fulfillment, right? And then some other countries will come in and say, well, we have a better way of defining what happiness is. So if you do not define your own standards, somebody else will come and define it for you, right? And that is the fear. Next, please. Thank you. Now, there's one field, one area that we are succeeding, right? One area we're succeeding. If you look at the global Muslim travel index, right? Indonesia and Malaysia ranks number 1 in the world. Indonesia and Malaysia ranks number 1 in the world. Let me adjust this a bit. Uh, why? Because it is based on halal, halalan toiban, halal. When a standard that is constructed and built by us, by our own standards, we can win it because we understand it, we practice it, we can live up to it. And if you look at Islamic finance in Malaysia, right, Malaysia has about 60 to 70% Muslim population, right? Um, the others are non-Muslim. But majority of the customers, of the clients of Muslim Islamic financial products are non-Muslims. Right? What it means is this, that Islamic financial products or ethics-centered products have a place in this new world of certification of good and bad, because in Islam there are standards that are predefined, that they can be suited and tailored to the realities of today's economy, today's society. So when we stop playing their game, we start playing the religious game, we start playing the principle centered game, we start playing the ethics game, they will lose, because religion is where ethics can be found. Religion must come back and lead science, and that's where we will win. Next, please. Uh, these are further strategies, right? 5 strategies to regain power and to change Nusantara, for organizational transformation, for scholars, for educational institutions. Um, I ask the questions, how are you developing the definitions, institutions, and communities of good standards? Number 1, the question you need to ask, what higher calling or ethical mission are you serving? What are you against? What are you for? You must ask that question. What is your ethical mission? Number 2, do you have clarity of values? Do you have ethical principles? Do you have this set of defined ethical principles? If not, you got to sit down and do it for your organizations, for your country, for your communities. Number 3, do you have strong relationships, strong communities? Do you build communities that will uphold, that will be bound by ethical principles? You need that strong relationship to do that, right? Social capital that holds the community, the organization, that the jama'ah, that society, that nation together, right? Number 4, are you, if you're not a champion Are you part of a change movement? Are you part of a champion process? Part of a change movement? If you are not, you must be part of a change movement. Number 5, how are you developing your plan, your community, your organization based on ethical principles and values? You will need to have a plan, because hoping alone is not enough. A hope is not a plan. You need to have a plan, right? Number 6, and the final one here, how do you measure and improve success towards your ethical practices and ethical vision? What you cannot measure, you will find it hard to manage. You will need to start measuring, manifesting, and reflecting these successes and say, yes, I've done it. No, I haven't done enough. What are the areas of improvements? And move from paralysis to progress to, inshallah, goodwill, perfection. Right? I guess that will be the part that I would adjourn this discussion. Say terima kasih, thank you very much. And whoever is interested to pursue the PhD, whoever is interested to pursue research in this area, or discussion in this area, do contact us, do contact me, and I'll be happy to engage you, to welcome you into a discourse, a community of friends and scholars who are interested in this area of transformation, organizational transformation, institutional transformation, futures, and the idea of coming together to regain our power in this fight between good and evil. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Alhamdulillah, thank
Alhamdulillah.
you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rifani, for your outstanding presentation about organizational transformation and future reflection for Nusantara, Southeast Asia, and the world beyond. Dr. Rifani delivered about the step-by-step industrial revolution from the first till the fifth, and the huge power of fifth industrial revolution, also how to face the fifth industrial revolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching this video, and don't forget to hit the like button and leave your comment and also subscribe to this channel.
Let's see Rajiv there over there.
Hello.
Oh.
Thank you very much and see you next time.
See you. Bye.